The Why Golf podcast is brought to you by Skyscanner, the ultimate travel hack that searches billions of prices on flights, hotels and cars, so you can feel confident you'll always find an amazing deal. Hello and welcome to Why Golf. I am here at the AIG Women's Open, presenting for the radio. I've also brought my Why Golf microphone with me, and this week I've caught up with a guy from one of the biggest golfing podcasts there is, Big Randy from the No Laying Up podcast. Here is our chat. Hope you enjoy. It is the weekend of the AIG Women's Open up here at the home of golf in St Andrews. I'm here with Randy from the No Laying Up podcast. My goodness, Randy, you are difficult to get hold of. You are working with us, so we finally grabbed you.
Don't give people the wrong impression.
Oh.
Di, I always have time for you. It's
Thank
wonderful to be out here again at the AIG Women's Open. Last year was our first year, and what better place at the home of golf here in St Andrews?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. Now, your other half, possibly, Cody, he's going to hopefully join us later on the podcast, but great to have you here this morning. You've been working with us, doing radio. My goodness, we're like a little family, aren't we? Are you enjoying it?
Yes.
The boss is just there, so say the right thing.
It truly is like a family. I think we met you, I'll go back to last year. We didn't know anybody. We had agreed to do some radio, and you guys are the funniest, most welcoming bunch of people. If you'll allow me.
I'm hilarious.
Truly.
Yeah.
And you guys made us feel so comfortable. You don't take yourself seriously. You know your golf. It just was the most wonderful experience. And Cody and I, leaving Walton Heath last year, said, we have to do that again. And so it's really been the highlight of our year. We've been looking forward to this week, and that's in large part due to the people that you guys have.
Do you know, in any walk of life, whatever you're doing, surround yourself with people that inspire you and lift you up. And you guys have been brilliant. You've slotted right in, and your knowledge is incredible. We love having you here and walking the fairways. The last couple of days, I mean, it's been pretty brutal, hasn't it, in terms of wind?
It has.
You've flown in from, where do you live in the States?
I live in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
And very hot summer right now, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, I guess. Yeah, I don't quite know what that would be Celsius.
Yeah,
maybe around 30.
Yeah, is that right?
Ish.
About 32.
Yeah, so very hot. And so coming to St. Andrews, it's honestly really nice to put on some layers, to feel a bit of chill.
Yeah.
Have a little relief from that heat, but we're getting all four seasons. It's a little sprinkly even right now.
Yeah, it is.
You just never quite know what you're going to get out here. It's part of the fun.
It certainly is. Welcome to Bonnie, Scotland.
Exactly.
That's what we say. Now, you have been working in the industry for a long time now. This started as a bit of a hobby, didn't it, this podcast, No Laying Up podcast, which is now massive. I see people walking around the course with No Laying Up the jumpers on and all the attire. You've really gone from strength to strength.
It's really an incredible journey. It absolutely started as just a passion hobby. Myself and a couple friends knew each other from university, and we loved golf. Golf was the connecting force that really kept us in touch and talking regularly once we had graduated. And what started as a Twitter account grew into a little website, grew into, hey, we should make up some shirts and maybe, maybe our family would buy, or at least we want to wear it.
Great.
And then that turned into, hey, why don't we start a podcast? And so over about, I'd say a 5-6 year span, we had real jobs, but we just really enjoyed talking about golf.
What was your real job?
Well, I was in
real
public.
job. You've got a real
exactly.
job now.
We always put it in quotes,
Yeah.
right?
In an office, behind a desk.
So I studied accounting in college, and
I could do with some help.
Yeah. And so I went into public accounting in the States, and actually one of my partners,
clever.
Chris, was the same way. Our partner Tron was working in the hotel space. And so we were doing that. And I think really one of the big keys to our success today is we didn't start No Laying Up with the idea that it had to be a moneymaker or it had to be our job.
Yeah.
And so it allowed us to have fun. It took the pressure off of us. We could do what we wanted to. Nobody was telling us what we needed to do. And I think that's what helped eventually, attract
passion,
people
isn't it?
and build a
Yeah.
community. And then a few years on, about 6 years ago in 2018, we thought, hey, this could be a job. This could be a full-time opportunity for us. And if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. And so
That's a brave move.
yes, and it took a lot to
I'm
kind
handing
of
in my notice to the accountancy
talk
department.
to wives, girlfriends, parents, like, hey, I'm going to quit my job and we're going to give this a go. And it's the best thing we've done. And we're 6 years on. Sometimes I wake up every day and I'm like, do we get to do it another day?
Oh.
That's a success. And it's,
That's
we're very
amazing.
fortunate.
Do you know, but whatever you're doing, if you've got that passion and that drive and it comes naturally, then there's the success element is always behind it.
I think people pick up on that.
Yeah.
They can sense your underlying passion, your enthusiasm, and I hope that's what was a big part of why people enjoyed what we did.
Totally.
And still do, I should say.
Well, you're absolutely brilliant. It's a bit like Charlie Hull, because she has such a passion and desire to go to the gym and to train and to be out on the golf course and to hit balls, shell balls on the range day and day again. So, and that really shines through. Now, tell our viewers a little bit, because you've been around the women's game for a long time now and seen everything. What are the challenges facing the women's game right now? Where are we with it?
Well, we're definitely in a very exciting period. I think you say we've been in it a long time. I feel like we're still relatively new to the game. I feel that way myself. But I will say, I think as we got into the full-time nature of No Laying Up, it became apparent that, hey, we're spending a lot of time and energy covering the men's game, but there's this whole other side of professional golf that's just as wonderful, with stories and characters and venues and people. And so it just made sense to kind of treat the women's game like we do the men's game. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense too, right? If you're doing all this over here, well, all of a sudden you have all these new opportunities over on this side.
How much have you seen the women's game grow the length of time you've been involved?
And so I think just anecdotally, what we set out with our coverage of the women's game, if you will, was, like we try to do with anything, let's cover it in an authentic manner. Let's be ourselves. And hopefully that's enough to kind of bring people to the game and get them interested. And I think anecdotally, one of the most rewarding things is just hearing from folks, hey, you guys helped me. I tuned into this tournament, or I went out to a tournament near me. And it's awesome when they can bring a young son, a young daughter, a friend. And by and large, they have a wonderful time, because I do think in the women's game, I will say, it's a much more approachable environment.
Yes.
And we noticed that on the business side too. I think by nature of, obviously they're a little smaller, they're eager for media and eyeballs, and so there's a sense of, how can we help you? What do you guys want to do this week? How can we help you do that? And you don't quite get that on the men's side. And so in my position, it's really refreshing to come to a tournament and know, like, hey, they really are excited that we're here, and they're eager to help us. And so I think that helps run through our content and produce better content. And again, with the end goal of, I just want to get people excited, and I want to open their eyes and
say, this is incredible, basically.
Somebody like Charlie Hall, it probably becomes somebody's favorite golfer.
Yeah.
And then they start following her, and they're tuning in more regularly. And I hope, we just play a very small part in hopefully the rise of women's golf as a whole.
Well, it's fab, because the exposure that you're putting out there creates more eyeballs, as you say, on it. And, we're trying to spread the word with AIG Women's Open Radio, and we're available on a variety of different sort of broadcasting stations and outlets. And, I've been getting texts saying, been listening, and I've just booked a lesson to go and play golf again, because I used to play it 10 years ago, but slightly intimidated. Now I'm back. Oh, my daughter's outside, she's got her plastic clubs and she's hitting golf balls. We've seen a bit on the telly. It's all about exposure and getting eyeballs out there. If you can see heroes, then you can be them, can't you?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Isn't that, that's
it's amazing. It makes
awesome.
it makes you feel like you're doing something positive in the world.
Exactly.
Because the mental health side of the game, I mean, what have you witnessed over the years and seen in terms of people getting out there amongst nature and, changing their mindset slightly?
Oh, I think, whether you're playing personally for yourself, just being able, as you said, get out away from that screen, that computer, that, if you've been inside all day, to be able to get outside, get the fresh air. Ideally, you're walking, right? We have a buggy problem in the United States. A lot of people like to take carts when they play.
Yes. You know what? I
wish more people would walk.
Totally. I was working here many years ago, Alfred Dunhill Links Championship, and Samuel L. Jackson was playing, and it was quite a long round, and he said, I really miss my cart. And I was like, no, you want to walk the old course.
Well, and the beauty of courses over here, especially Scotland, especially the old course, they are meant to be walked, and they are easily walked. A lot of courses in the States, you do have to take a cart, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful...
You still get a lot of exercise, getting in the cart, getting out of the cart, if you're spraying it left, right, and centre.
And you can play by yourself if you seek quiet and solitude, that can be really recharging. And it's obviously a social game too, and you can get out with friends and you can meet new people if you show up and you're paired with, some random people. I think at the end of the round, maybe you've made a new friend, or at least you've talked to people and you just share life experiences.
Yeah.
And I struggle to think of a sport. I just turned 40, Di. I grew up.
You play a lot of golf.
Well, and I grew up loving basketball, but
Yeah.
you can't just keep playing basketball as you get. I wish I could, but my body just doesn't allow
The
it.
knees.
But truly, golf is that lifelong sport, that lifelong activity, that lifelong pursuit, and I think that's part of what makes it so special as well.
Yeah, you would have been a good basketball player. How tall are you?
It's 6'8", which I don't know.
So, no, 6'8". We sort of go in those metrics.
Oh, okay.
That's
You guys always confuse me because you do use miles per hour, but
yes,
I never
we
quite
use
know.
6'8", and I'm not very good with kilometres. I do everything in miles.
But then you go Celsius. You guys just like
Celsius,
to
I can't do the Fahrenheit. Which
you guys just like to keep us on our toes.
Yeah. Well, I like to say schedule as well, and I think you say schedule. Schedule. Anyway, we could go down this route with tomatoes as well, but we're not going to. Tell us about the women's game. What can the men's game, possibly learn from the women's game, and what's going on? That you talked about the fact that the players, they want to tell their stories possibly a bit more. There's more connection with the girls out here.
Yeah, I just think my perception. I guess I'll just speak my perception because I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush. But by and large, I think if you go to an LPGA event, and again, if you bring a child or you go yourself, you'll find the LPGA players very eager and willing to interact. They'll sign autographs. They toss golf balls, and that happens on the men's side.
Yeah,
but
it
I
does,
just don't think, by and large, there's as much of a I struggle to call it like a welcoming spirit, but me personally, a lot of the PGA Tour events I go to, you just kind of feel like you're walking on eggshells, and you.
It's a slightly different.
You're
feeling,
kind of
isn't it?
a little anxious and stressed, and you don't want to be in the wrong spot, and you don't want to. And I think out here, it's just you can relax, and I feel like people just can have a bit more fun.
That makes a lot of sense. And we're not, there are so many PGA Tour players and DP World Tour players who are so accommodating with the press.
And there are. So again, that's where I'm like, I don't want to.
I know what you're saying though, in terms of the feeling of that. It feels a little bit more amenable, accessible.
Yeah.
But
accessible is a great word.
Accessible,
yes.
I think that's where we go with it. But here, from what you've seen, and St Andrews and the setup, and this festival village, and what they're trying to do, how impressed are you?
So I think one of the most important things that can happen on the women's professional side is to make their biggest events feel like very big deals.
Yeah.
And I'll just go back to you guys being here and there being radio available, wall-to-wall coverage. That helps elevate this event. And so people feel like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And when they feel like it's a big deal, it gets them more excited and it gets them more interested. And I think this fan village goes hand in hand with that. It's a really impressive build out. Golf bays, you can go grab a quick lesson. Obviously, all the food vendors, they run a wonderful stage session. There's going to be a great concert tonight.
Yeah.
Again, it just, for people coming, it feels like a big deal, and I think that just drives excitement and interest. And I think it leaves people, you know what, that was a lot of fun. Let's go next year. Let's go next time it's in my area.
The Why Golf podcast is brought to you by Skyscanner, the ultimate travel hack that searches billions of prices on flights, hotels and cars, so you can feel confident you'll always find an amazing deal. Randy, you honestly add so much value to the game, and Cody as well. You research till midnight, till 2 a.m. in the morning. You missed our team dinner last night because you were studying once again. But what is your little unit like? And you've got Jordan now on board.
Yeah, so this week, as you said, Cody McBride, Jordan Perez are here with me. We have a team of 3. And from our perspective, I guess I'll go back and say, how radio and the Fan Village helps elevate this event. We're trying to do the same thing with what we do normally for the biggest events in golf. And that's, putting out a preview podcast, which to your point was kind of a deep dive history of this Women's Open championship going back to its start. We do live shows, live podcasts. That's what we were doing Friday night. We'll do on Sunday at the conclusion of play. We did a little Wednesday. We call it a Wednesday happy hour where we check in, we make our final predictions. And so, yeah, from how we treat the biggest events of golf, that's what we're trying to do this week.
Great.
And so Jordan, Cody, myself, they're long days. We were just having this conversation last night. They're very long days, but it's so fulfilling, I think, just personally and professionally to be here and to be able to do this. And Cody and I were saying that's the way it should be. It should be long. You should feel tired. It should, not difficult, but it should take a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it rewarding for us.
Well, it's great content. And how many people are listening to you and watching you around the world? You could actually make up a figure because I don't know.
A billion?
A billion,
Yeah,
possibly 2 billion.
We
you are global.
We are very fortunate. Our audience is bigger than I would have ever imagined. Sometimes when I do stop to think about it, honestly, I don't want to think how many people are listening to my voice because all I would do is start fumbling and tripping.
No, you've got a great tone, great articulation.
I like to think there's like a dozen people listening.
Oh,
that's how I
Stop. Millions. You've been stopped around the Festival Village so many times.
We very much appreciate our entire audience.
Yeah. And Randy, you're going to be at the Solheim Cup this year.
Yes.
In a couple of weeks' time. You were at the Solheim Cup last year at Finca Courtesan. How excited are you? And what can the LPGA learn from last year?
So the Solheim Cup's been so much fun to attend. My very first one was 2021 back in Toledo, Ohio. And then we had such a fun experience there. We definitely wanted to go to Spain last year. We wanted to see that, for us, that foreign event on foreign soil. I had never been to Spain before. The golf course at Finca Courtesan was a workout, just getting around there.
Really hard.
So I think that the first thing that I hope the people in Virginia are learning is, hey, let's make it a little easier for fans and everybody else to kind of navigate the golf course.
Yeah.
But I just, like the other biggest events, like this event here at the Open, I sense the Solheim Cup they're adding gasoline to the fire. They're trying to make it bigger and draw in more people. And I really hope that this year in Virginia, you'll see great crowds. We're a few years past COVID, which had affected some of the earlier iterations.
Yeah.
And I hope there's a mix between a lot of passionate European fans that have made the trip and are cheering loudly. They're so much fun. And then you have a lot of American fans. And what I really like right now in the Solheim Cup is Team Europe they have held the cup since 2017, making the Americans the underdog.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing Americans really love, it's kind of being the underdog.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I think you're going to get a lot of passion. That American team is going to be super motivated to play well, and I think it's going to be a wonderful event here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, simply, we can't wait. And it was so great to have you at Walton Heath last year and again here at St Andrews. We spoke a little bit about Walton Heath. Brilliant experience. And I just feel that this place, it's going from strength to strength, isn't it? But I want to know, Randy, what's the item in your suitcase that you take when you travel abroad that you can't leave the house without?
Okay.
Mine's a hairbrush. Because I tried to find it this morning and I couldn't find it anywhere. It took me 10 minutes anyway. What's yours?
So just as you're asking that question, I haven't thought about this in a while. I mean, I need my necessities, my toothbrush, my deodorant, of course, all of that. You know what I always pack, even though on like our work trips, I never really get a chance just because we're busy.
Yeah.
But on the flights, my favorite thing to do is read a good book. You can kind of put away the screens. So I love to have a book with me so I know, hey, if I ever do get an hour or if I ever need to kind of recharge the batteries, I can dive into a good book.
I love that. Do you know what, actually, I was watching an interview with Sarah Jessica Parker this morning and she always carries a book with her around New York. She's one of 8 children.
It's kind of a comfort blanket. Yeah, it's kind of a comfort blanket a little bit.
I love that. And that's a great message to all the youngsters watching as well.
Yeah, reading's good.
But you can dive into another world. It's fascinating. And finally, Randy, what is your why golf? Why are you involved in it? What's your handicap, by the way?
I am currently about an 8 handicap.
Great.
So I've kind of stuck there.
6'8" off 8.
Yeah. I feel like I'll probably always be an 8 handicap.
Useful.
Yeah. Why golf? I think a lot about this. It's a game I fell in love with because it always was a type of escape for me. And going back to the earlier part of our conversation, I played competitively. I grew up playing basketball and what we call soccer and baseball. I never played competitive golf. And so it was always just an outlet for me to test myself, challenge myself, but on my own terms. And it became that it can be a sanctuary. I love going out and walking around by myself sometimes. It's a social thing, my friends who play. And so I think why golf is, it's a game you'll never master. It's endlessly frustrating, but I kind of like that about it. Because it always lets me know where I stand. I love counting all the strokes and trying to play serious when I do play, because there's something about just knowing that score and being able, okay, this was how good I am today.
Totally.
And maybe tomorrow I'll be better.
Yeah, and as an accountant,
and that's
side of things.
I have not connected that, but it has to be the accounting part of me.
Definitely. I used to love maths at school, and that's why I love like scorecard, all the yardages and the yardage books. Yeah,
exactly.
It's brilliant. Randy, thank you so much. Are you any good at dancing?
No, terrible.
Are we going to see it later with Tom
6'8" with long limbs?
Well,
I don't know if anybody needs to see that.
You don't really look like a dancer, but you could have had a secret talent. I was going to ask you to dance, but now I'm not. You've been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Di.
And can you go to work now?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thanks.
Please.
Okay, off you go. I'll take your mic. Thanks, Randy. See you shortly. He's rather tall, though.